I think that looks a little bit better. You can see me. Shalom, Hess here again. I just happened to be watching the old Fox News Live, and it brought up the Ebola patient, the second one, so this should date it. The CDC has now confirmed that that person has Ebola. Well, guess what? I've already went through the Ebola and the authority thing, but I just wanted to reiterate that we brought that in here by giving it authority to enter. And who did it? The president. Okay? Now, I want to make a statement on ISIS real quick before something happens and the world will say, well, he's saying it afterwards. ISIS ain't going away. Get on the internet, you're already there if you're watching me, and punch in on Wikipedia ISIS. You'll find out she was the Queen of Heaven. I can go through an awful lot of stuff, and if you read a lot of it, not all of it's quite right on Wikia, or Wikipedia, but it's close. There's more stuff in the Jewish side of it, but long story short is this. It's the Queen of Heaven. Do you know what? On the fly here, see if I can do this without having to restart. But she's the Queen of Heaven. And you do know that she comes from, there's a line, you got Turkey, okay, and these are a bunch of nuggets going to throw at you at a high rate of speed. You got Turkey and Syria, and that's where it comes from. Okay? Now, Daniel. If I can find a verse, it's right in here in chapter 9. And therefore understand to restore, rebuild, after 62 weeks, and and after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Well, we know the city and the sanctuary destroyed 70 AD. Now, I know a lot of people want to throw that this is Christ and all this stuff. It's not. It's talking about the Antichrist, because he is the one. Okay? God will never break his covenant. Just to help you out with that. That shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined, and he shall confirm the covenant. That's where they like to get that from, with many for 1 week. Look, you know what? I'll do the whole 3-verse thing. Know therefore, and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks. And 62 weeks the street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troubled times. Look up Zerubbabel and all that. That's what it's talking about. Okay? And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. If you look this up in the Hebrew, it's he was killed, murdered, but not because he did anything wrong, because somebody else. I think we know who that is. But not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city. Now it's talking about the Antichrist, the people of the prince. Okay. Shall destroy the forgot the thing's name now, but in 70 AD destroyed the temple. And shall come and the sanctuary. The end therefore shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war, Esau versus Jacob, that's another thing, desolations are determined. Okay? And here's the part I want to get to. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. Well, everybody wants to say that's because the third temple's built, and the Antichrist in the middle of the week. By the way, there is no week and stuff. We're way past the 7 years. We're less than 7 years to the end of this thing. Either we've got, I don't want to put a time on it, but less than 5 years, or it's more than 50. I mean that as a literal time frame. Okay? For 1 week, in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even unto the consummation. Think of marriage, consummation of marriage. And that determined shall be poured out upon the desolate. Now, I want to go over this verse if I have all the way. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Who is that? Christ confirms the covenant with believers. Okay? This is talking about the last 7 years. And in the middle of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. He's done died. He's done buried. He's done resurrected. He's done went to heaven. But you know what? The Jewish people don't get it. They're still going to a temple and trying to atone for their sins using the old system. He died. He was buried. He was cut to pieces practically and put on a cross. Do you think he was a little upset that his people wouldn't listen to him and look to him? No, they kept going thinking the blood of bulls and goats would save them. He was a little ticked off. That's why, when you're reading the Talmud, the westernmost, the one closest to the veil that was rent on the menorah, which is knowledge, kept going out. Why? Because the people who were running the temple did not have any knowledge of the one who had been sacrificed. It's as simple as that, people. Look at this. All the apostles preached there at the temple. Okay? When it says he was in it says they were in an upper room when the Holy Spirit come down, the Ruach, they weren't in some house. They were in an upper room of the temple. It was a high holy day. They all went to the temple as commanded. That's one of the 3 times in a year all Jewish males are supposed to go to the temple. Guess what? They were at the temple. That's why thousands saw them. If you put them inside of a big mansion and they all have the Spirit come down on them and they're all speaking prophetically and stuff, it would be like any other church meeting you would have or camp revival with a tent. It's inside there. Nobody outside's seeing it. The thousands of people driving by would never see it because it's inside. On the other hand, if it happens in the temple, everybody's going to see it. And you had the Pharisees there to immediately come at them and saying, oh, they're drunk. And you notice it was at 9 o'clock in the morning. Daily sacrifice, 9, noon, well, the 3, 9, noon, and 3 o'clock. Uh-oh. That's what was going on with that one, just to help you out. The reason why I'm ranting and raving about that a little bit is this. Okay? The Catholic Church, which wants to take Israel's place, which they never will, which is the false prophet. Yep. For all you fine Jesuits out there, I do know that. The Catholic Church is the false prophet. Now, the people inside of it, there's a lot of good people inside of it. I know a lot of them. And they're really good people. And they do believe in God. They do believe in the Son. And they are seeking Him. Okay? Which is the beauty of our God. Even though we'll get into that some other time. The Catholic people, the parishioners, aren't the evil part. The evil part's way up top. The ones that's got all the bells and whistles on. They're the Pharisees. They want you to call him Father, yet Christ says, do call no man Father. Okay, they want to be called Teacher. Call no man Teacher. There's one teacher. You see what I'm getting at? They've actually done all the work. They're the ones, the Catholic Church, along with Constantine, changed the day of worship. But you know what's really weird? And we'll get into that some other time. Some other time. Stick with ISIS. Okay. Caused it to cease for the overspreading of the abominations. All the stuff that had happened prior to that's what it's talking about. And the reason why I went over this a little bit is because of this. He who will come comes from the people. Okay? Who is he who will come comes from the people who destroy the temple. The temple was destroyed by the Roman legions, so therefore it's got to be Rome. Well, let me tell you something about the 10th Roman Legion. That's who destroyed it. In fact, they camped out there for about 200 years. The 10th Roman Legion was not from Rome. In fact, if you look at the line between Turkey and Syria, and throw a dart right there about midways between the border, along that line, guess where the 10th Roman Legion was recruited from? He who will come, meaning the one that's going to ultimately be taken over or whatever by Satan himself, comes from right there. And if you notice, we're throwing all kinds of stuff at it, but yet ISIS is continuing. Last I heard, they're surrounding Baghdad. And they got that Kuban. They're about to do a massacre there. Why aren't we stopping them? Because it's not going to happen. We have given spiritual authority to Satan in this world. Even Israel, to a degree, is giving spiritual authority to Israel. And because of that, he is now we're at the final stages. Okay? So, well, where's the great apostasy? Go to any church you want to. There's the great apostasy. 95% of them don't even teach end times, but yet in the book of Revelations it tells you to study. Really? How's that for an apostasy? 95% of the people in the church, when you go, Jesus is not the name of the living God's Son. What? Wasn't an apostle one that called him Jesus? And you can show them all the stuff, and they're like, well, that's the way I believe. It don't matter what you believe. It don't matter what I believe. And that's the amazing part. God the Father set this whole thing up. And it matters what He did. Period. You can go off and say that the sky has never been blue ever. What are you, crazy? It's always green and orange. Never been blue in the history of the universe. It's the wrong reflectivity and blah, 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 blah. But it's still blue in reality. It's what reality we're looking at. Our reality, which is, I got to worry about paying the bills, I got to do this. You see, worry about all these things is distracting you from what? The Word, which is its mission. It's just like Ebola and all this other stuff. Same-sex marriage. I'll give you a 5-second shot on same-sex marriage, which really is driving me nuts. What's the deal with same-sex marriage? There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. It can't be. Marriage between a man and a woman was designed to produce a family for procreation purposes. 2 men can't produce children, and 2 women can't produce children. I don't care what they say. Oh, well, these gay couples having a child. They adopted. These 2 women are having a child. There was a man's sperm involved somewhere, even with all this fine science. And the reason why Satan likes this, Satan actually likes gay and lesbian. And here's why. Did you know no civilization on the planet has ever survived a birth rate less than 2.3%, I believe it is? Why? They're not refilling the population that's dying off. None has ever dropped down to like a 1.8 and then try to come back. Never happened. And that's where we are. Isn't that nice? So Satan in America has now got us to the point where there is no way America can ever recover. Bye-bye. And that's what's happening in the spirit world. Anyway, I want to let you know about ISIS. ISIS is the Queen of Heaven. She is attempting to bring back the King of Heaven. Not my king. Not the king of the Jews either. It's another king, or their rock. Like the Rock of Tyre, King of Tyre, things of that nature. The really bad one. And we're not going to stop ISIS. Not going to happen. A certain set of events will have to happen. By the way, I'll give you a shorty here in a little while on Jacob versus Esau, because that's actually the fight that's been going on for 3,500 years. Have fun. Shalom. Be safe.